Welcome to PC Daily. As you can see, a bit of a different environment for the videos today compared to the previous ones. Alright, today we are talking about management buy-in, or lack thereof, and how that is one of the 6 deadly sins that causes agile implementations or transformations to go astray. If you want a bit more context for this, jump back and have a look at yesterday's video where I went over what we're talking about here. And today we're specifically looking at the management buy-in aspect and how that causes agile projects to fail. When we say fail, as I mentioned in the video yesterday, that might mean really just doesn't work and it gets ripped back out, or it might be that the project goes in but you're really not getting the benefits from it that you had hoped you were going to get or that you planned on getting. It seems alright, but it's not what you'd really hoped for. So, in either of those cases, when I was about to shoot this video, I thought, oh, hang on, I just about an hour ago finished up a webinar where we touched on this subject in a slightly different context, but it's the same cause. So, what I'm going to do is jump to that, and that will explain the concept and how it is, and then I'm going to jump back and talk to you about how that works with management buy-in on a transformation project, and of course, what you can do about that. So we'll jump to that out of the video and I will see you in a couple of minutes.
You think of fully agile. Here, I'll draw on the screen to make this a little clearer. If you think of one extreme of this, you've got, if this is a continuum, right down this end, you've got these 4 things here very strongly. You've got, let's say, 2 people that are co-founders of a little startup working at the kitchen table. They are 100% focused on individuals and interactions, just getting some software working, collaborating with the customer to do that, and of course, responding to their changes. They don't need a lot of processes and tools, comprehensive documentation, contract negotiation, or much following a plan at that stage. So you've got the extreme down there. At the other end of the extreme, you've got things like, again, those big infrastructure projects, large multinational companies that are going to be more down this end of the frame, where they do actually still need a lot of processes and tools, some comprehensive documentation, contract negotiations definitely in there, and of course need to be following a plan of some sort, or else you've just got everybody all over the place potentially doing their own thing. So it's more useful to consider this a continuum than a black and white scenario. And that's where we notice a lot of the issues arising in software companies when they try and go agile or implement agile, is arguments can arise that treat them black and white as opposed to 50 shades of grey, as opposed to a panel of a gradient. So it even says down the bottom, that is, while there is value in the items on the right, we value items on the left more. And that's directly from the manifesto. So that gets interpreted as you should do the stuff on the left by some people. But what we find is far more effective is treating it as, if you absolutely have to make a call on this, err on the left. But really, that's a list of 8 things which most software companies are going to need some of. The stuff on the left is going to be more the development teams and developers themselves just wanting to get on with it, figure it out, and get moving. Stuff on the right is going to be more the commercial arm of the business. You still need to have plans so you're heading in the right direction. You're going to have salespeople and everything that need to be able to actually sell something to pay the development teams as well. So there's both sides of this, and treating each of the dilemmas that occur. Let's say you've got one that comes up. You've got some team leader arguing for some individual interaction scenario, and you've got a manager or a C-suite arguing for processes and tools. What's more useful is to look at the benefits that each person's trying to get and look for an alternative that gives you both of those benefits. This is kind of getting into those decision-making tools that I mentioned, the other half of PACE we're not going to cover today. But just in general, if you're struggling a little with how do we balance the implementation of these two, that tends to be the answer. Don't treat it as a black and white. If you want it's a sort of nerdy term for this. It's called a false dichotomy. You can look up that logical fallacy if you like, but it's falsely stating that it's either this or this, when actually you can most often do both. So that's what a lot of what we'll be looking at today supports, is being able to do both. And getting the middle ground that works for your organization.
All right, welcome back. So hopefully that was a good explanation as to how you've got the two sides there. You've got the Agile side, which brings a lot of benefit to the way that software teams work and actually developing the code. But of course, you've also got that commercial side, where you've got to actually sell it, and you've got to have some plans so that the multiple teams and individuals are coordinated towards something. So that balance there, where I talked about it not being black or white, that's what we're talking about here. That's where you can lose the management buy-in. If it's being driven by the development side of the business, going to Agile, it can sometimes feel like you're going all in on Agile and you're forgetting about those commercial drivers. So from the management perspective, they look at it and go, oh, those do seem like things that would benefit the company. That will benefit the software development teams, which if you're a software company is a key thing. So it's not that managers think it's rubbish, but that you don't quite get the buy-in where people feel like they want to leap into something. They understand it, they understand the value. They're hesitant for some reason. Sometimes people can articulate that and sometimes they can't. Often the reason they're hesitant is all those commercial drivers that you risk leaving behind, or there's fear of leaving behind. So if you're promoting, if you're the one promoting the Agile change in your team or your business, make sure that you're looking at the win-wins. As I said there, it's not a black and white. There's nearly always a situation where you can get the benefits of both. I mean, you can have a plan at a high level based on effects to get you heading in the right direction and still have highly adaptable teams. They're not mutually exclusive. So it's about finding that balance where both sides win, so to speak. If you're on the other side of this, if you're management thinking, why did this fail? Hopefully just hit the nail on the head where you go, yeah, that's exactly it. Agile risks losing all of these commercial drivers. So what you need to do is, again, have those discussions with the proponents of Agile and say, look, I'm all for these 4 things. However, we can't do them at the expense of the other things. It's not just we just ignore all of our pricing and project plans and following standard operating procedures to a certain extent. We need those things to be a successful company. However, we also want these to be a success, to have successful dev teams. So how, in each instance they come up, can we look for a win-win? How is there an alternative that gives us both? So that's the way that both you fail to get management buy-in. It feels like it's all about, if you're the proponent, it's all about you, it's all about the dev team, it's not enough about the other areas of the business. And that's also the way you can resolve it, by looking at the benefits of both and finding it's not a compromise. You're not going to go, oh, well, yeah, I guess we'll do that instead. You want something where this is an alternate that we can apply in our business that's going to give us the perfect balance, the win-win from both of them, an alternate action that will get us both, rather than the two we're fighting over. So management buy-in, lack of it comes from either them knowing or having some sort of nagging feeling that something's being lost in this process, and it very much could be. It at least has a risk to be. And the way that you can move forward with this is make sure both parties are working together to ensure this is beneficial for the company as a whole. It's not an initiative to just benefit one side of the equation. So there you go. Hopefully that helps if that's where you were stuck with your implementations.